Hello friends, welcome to the session. In this session, we will learn about render props in React and what it does. So let's get to it. So first, let's clean up this screen. So for that, I will not clean up all the thing, but I will just clean up this routes and all from here. Or let's keep the route as well. So just clean up this button, and in route, we'll have one slash and one will be like posts, and this will be post page. So this third route is not required. So this about we have changed to post. So slash about will go to slash post, and let's keep it simple like that. So we don't need that. So we don't need this contact page either. So let's delete it. We don't need this contact item. Let's delete it. Our about page is like changed to post page. So let's change that. Let's change that. So here just write this is post page, and this also we don't need. So for now let's remove this props as well. So in home page we'll write simply this is home page, and app we just have like we need to change this, right? So render props demo. So this history also we don't need, that was just for demonstration purpose of use router. So let's clean up everything and let's make it clean. This is unused imports. So this post page still need to be imported. So on importing, I think we have no error. So let's see on the screen we have home and we have post, and these are working as expected, right? So what we will do is inside home page we will fetch the username and user email as we do while learning Axios and fetching API. And in post page what we do is we will fetch this post item, post title. So let's do that real quick. So inside home page let's write one fetch data equals, and we need to call Axios, right? Axios dot get, and we will pick up this and paste it, and we will write then, and we will write res like last time we did it like that, but this time we will use something called async await. So that will make our code even readable. So to do that we need to give the function type as async, and we need to wrap async await always in a try catch block. So inside try what we can do is we can simply call it and do cons response is equal to, and we will await. So what this await does is it will pause this line till it returns some response or it throw some error. So when it return response it will be coming to this response, and when it throw error our catch block will catch that error. So our response and error need to be set to the state, right? So let's make a state real quick. So what our state consists of is status, which will be in idle initially, data, which will be null initially. So here what we do is we just simply set state, and our status will be loading, and we will simply do data will be null at that point, and we will copy it, we will paste it here. It will be data, and data will be res dot data as we did. So here will be error, and this will be error dot response dot data. So what this response dot data does is the actual error message will be inside the response object and inside the data. So we are just fetching that here. So like rest dot data, the error message will be inside here, and you can always console log this error and you can see it in the console. So we have made our function, so we need to call it, right? So let's call it in react dot use effect, and we need to make it component it mount. So fetch data here. So this is working fine, but state is never used, it is saying. So we will use state here. So inside this, let's write and users and make it like that. So when state dot status is equal to data, what we will do is we will show a unordered list or order list. Let's do order list this time. So order list will give us number. So here what we do is state dot data dot map, and we will take in item, and we will return list item with item dot name and item dot email, and we need to pass in key props to the map returning item, so that will be item dot id. So let's see what it looked like. So in React app we have user and we have all the user here, so we need to do that in post as well, right? So let's go to the post, let's close it and let's copy it entirely, and let's go to the post and let's paste it here entirely, and this will be post now. So in this post page also we need to make it grab the post. So let's see, XJS is not defined, we will deal with that. So what is happening is we have title here, right, and we have id. So let's go to the code and let's define the XJS here first, and here we will in home page, as we have this, we will just pass in, keep this, and like here pass here, and we have id and we have item title. So this should work. So let's see in the UI. So we have users. When I go to the post, like we have post. When I go to the home, we have user. When I go to the post, we have post, and it is working fine. But what problem is actually here? But we don't see any problem in current scenario because we just have two components. But imagine having like 100 components where you are fetching 100 APIs and you are writing logic on each and every page. That makes like so much of code in the React, and as the code increase, the bundle size increase and website speed gets slow. So for minimizing the code, what we can do is we can use render props. So let's see how render props work. So we will make another component called requester.js, and inside this requester we'll simply make one function, and inside this what we will do is we will take URL as a props and render as a props. So what we will do is we will just pass render here, we will just return render, and we will write state dot status, and we will write state dot data. So we don't have state now, so we will just fetch in from post page. Let's cut it from here and let's paste it here. So we have this, right? But we are not fetching anything, so let's copy this whole and let's paste it to requester. So inside we are fetching, but this is not the URL we need to fetch, right? We are getting URL from props above, so we are fetching from dynamic URL coming. So whenever this URL change, we need to refetch, so we need to push that URL in dependency list of use effect. So this is our render props component. So how do we use that render props component in post page? Let's see that. So inside post, here what we can do is we can just simply bring in requester and simply, like, we don't even need to close it, we can just use self closing tag. So we need to pass in some URL to it and we will get render. We need to pass render, and this render is like returning status as well as data. So on here, what we will do is we will return, or we can even write like direct return. This small bracket is direct return. So here we will paste our this code. So before pasting that, we need to use one parent child, so we wrap in this, but here we don't have state, we directly have status, right? So let's do it in status and let's make it data. And if we have like status equal to, let's put like this as well, status is equal to loading, and then let's write paragraph with loading. So this Axios is no longer needed now. In inside requester we have Axios, so we need Axios over here, so we migrated it here. So now our post page look much cleaner. So let's take this requester from here and post it in our home page as well. So this is whole like change to this requester, and inside here what we got is not title but name and like email here. So we still need to remove this as it is no longer required, but we have not passed in URL yet. So let's bring this URL and let's pass this URL here, and inside the post page let's pass in the URL here and write /posts post. So let's see in the UI what is happening. Requester is not defined. Oh. So here we need to define requester in post page, in home page as well we need to define requester, and let's delete this Axios as it is no longer required. So in the post page we have a post ready, in the home page we have the user ready. So the loading is coming, but it is going pretty fast because like the API are already cached by the browser. So that's our render props. So imagine having hundreds of API call and users minimize all the codes, and only one requester render props function is able to handle all those requests. So tons of code saved. Congratulations guys for saving the tons of code. So this is our render props. So with render props, everybody have one question in the mind. So does this name always need to be render? So this is not always need to be render. You can name it anything you like, but as everybody says it's render, and it got pretty fancy name called render props. So we call it render props and often use render here. So that's all for render props, and in next session we will learn about higher order components and what actually higher order components does. So thank you for watching guys.